Welcome to the NC Spin After Spin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. I want to ask each of you, what do you wish you had said on last week's show, but you didn't? Chris, I'll start with you.
Well, we did talk about the governor's race a little bit and the political climate, and we didn't talk a lot about HB2 on this show, which is probably a good thing. It's gotten a lot of exposure. But I do think it's going to be a key issue in the campaign. And one thing that I believe the governor and supporters of the bill are misleading people about is they claim that the bill that sets up a non-discrimination standard, just like the federal government, just like 27 other states, that's actually not true. The federal government in most states that don't have that say you can't discriminate on the basis of age, religion, race, sex, and a lot of other things. The bill that passed in North Carolina says biological sex, and that is very important because the federal courts have interpreted the word sex to mean sexual orientation and gender identity, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. But this is a long-winded way of saying this bill is not just about bathrooms. It's being perceived, I think correctly, as about where we are in gay rights in America. And North Carolina, whether you like it or not, is now the crossroads of the battle over gay rights in America, and that's going to be a big deal.
Phil Kirk, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
I wish I'd said when we were talking about the U.S. Senate race that when Deborah Ross won the primary, I heard some Burr people saying that there was no way the former a person involved with ACLU would ever be elected in North Carolina. I agree it's going to be a closer race than some of the Burr people expected initially. Deborah's smart, she's a good campaigner, and women run very well. No, I don't think she'll win, but I think it'll be closer than some expect.
Peg, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
I wish I had said that while they were working on the governor's budget, that if they had been forward-thinking and put something in there about exploring Medicaid expansion. That's an issue that we have to consider in North Carolina. If we don't, it's going to break our entire health care system. So I wish I'd talked about Medicaid expansion.
All right. John, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
We talked about the election law changes and the district court upholding them in federal court and the potential for appeal. And I mentioned early voting, and I just want to point out that one of the arguments that was underappreciated in favor of changing North Carolina's early voting calendar to make it shorter but to have more hours is that when you have a really long period of early voting, you actually induce voters to cast their ballots before they know all the relevant information. Now we know from the Republican presidential primaries in multiple states that you had lots of votes cast in early voting that were wasted because by the time you got to the primary date, some of those candidates had dropped out. And this applies to primaries and general elections. Our North Carolina's law does. So in retrospect, it was a good idea to change that calendar.
Well, thanks for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.